Last of Dragonlords, Chapter 9. Chapter 12, Part 1. By the next morning, the rain had stopped. In its wake, a mist rolled over the Horsekin Highlands. It swirled around the mountains and hills like a rapid river, blurred out the sun, leaving a dull yellow orb in the sky. She walked through the mist. Fluttershy could feel the mist's cool yet moist touch on her face and body as she walked up a steep slope after her father. Firewing had stopped and was looking down at a map, trying to find out a route. Fluttershy walked slowly, her every step being one of caution rather than exhaustion. The rain from last night had left the grass and mud paths soft and treacherous. Placing a hoof in the wrong place could easily result in a brain or a broken leg, or worse. Fluttershy's long mane didn't help the climb either. The wind was strong and it blew in her eyes, making her unable to see and go on. Luckily, Firewing had a headband with him, and with his help, tidied it back to a ponytail. Joke too obvious, joke too obvious. At first, Firewing suggested a haircut, but Fluttershy was adamant that the hair stayed the way it was, so they went with the hairband option instead. Dark blue matched Fluttershy's light pink mane really well, and around her neck rested a medallion that held the only image of her mother, which she kept now close to her heart. She didn't normally wear it, but now seemed the right time. She eventually caught up with her dad and sat down on her haunches, taking a moment to breathe. You know where to guess. Finally looked at her with a wide grin. Of course not, he answered. First I felt her right ear twitch. You mean you're making this up as you go along? Yeah, he replied, looking down at the map laid out in front of him. Then looked back up at one of the mountains with a small file forming on his face. But I'm doing it brilliantly. He pointed to a small slope in front of them. Can you make out a face of a pony in that hill? He asked. Firefly looked at it where he was pointing and gasped when she saw he was right. The small hill in front of them had the features of a pony's face. She could easily make out the nostrils and long muzzle of a stallion, while others, like the ears and eyes, were not so easy. Firewing laughed at the look Fluttershy's face, which was amazing. When the Dragonlords built these places, they made them so they couldn't be found. However, they left clues and small traces, like these paths. So, which way can we go now? Firewing scratched up his face in thought. Give me a moment. He looked back down at the map. He had muttering to himself as his eyes darted back and forth on the small map of the Highlands. Right, he said after a while. I think we have to go right. With that, he began trotting down the small path that snaked its way between the tall hills and mountains, Fireside following suit. The two made their way up the path, dwarfed by the hills and mountains around them. Large pine trees dotted the hillsides, while looking precariously close to falling from their perches, collapsing into the two ponies. Fireside eyed them fearfully, watching the one closest to him as they trotted through. Finally, however, seemed quite at ease. He was humming a tune to himself as he watched. Was aggravated to yell at Pegasus to some degree. Um, Fireside began. I was wondering, how exactly did you become a Dragonlord? Finally, he stopped humming and slowed down so he was walking next to her. It's a long story. It's a long walk. Finally sighed. All right, then. He took a deep breath and said, First off, though, where did you get your cutie mark? I was 14 at the time, oldest in my class. Fireside answered. Well, I didn't get mine until I was 16. Finally went on. I was born in Los Pegasus with only my mother to raise me, since my father died not long before I was born. I lived a good childhood there, since I was bullied since I didn't have my cutie mark yet, and nearly every other filly or colt did. I was 15 when my mother decided to put me in a Scouts Club. He tried to do an impressive of his mother. Go out to get some fresh air, it'll do you some good, she said to me. So I did, and I did quite well at most of the things we learned out there, like hiking with fellows, which I'm very grateful to have learned, rafting, orientation, that sort of thing. But what always evaded me, however, was somehow how well I did everything. I never got my cutie mark, till one day, everything changed on me. The day you became a Dragonlord? Finally nodded. What happened? Fireway's ears went down as he remembered. Me and the rest of us were out hiking in the mountains north of the city. A few of us got separated from the rest of the group and went on lost in the forest. Took charge of the situation and went into the air. That's when I noticed a large storm approaching from the north. I went back down and told them we needed to find shelter. Eventually, we came across this large cave in one of the mountains. We made shelter there and settled down for the night, realizing we'll have to wait until the storm passes till we can be rescued. Things were okay until we started hearing heavy breathing. At first, we all thought it was just one pony called Starlight, so she was a heavy breather. Starlight! Starlight! Well, Starlight's beginning to some time-travel shenanigans even before season 5! It snored loudly. It was then she realized she wasn't with us. I remember turning around, and we all heard a blood-curdling scream at the massive reptilian creature in front of us. Was it a dragon? First I stammered. Finally shook his head. Thankfully, no. It was a wyvern. It was a light green with vicious yellow eyes that seemed as bright as the sun, scales as hard as rock, and all just wings that looked like bats. A long tail was spiked running down it, and two large horns that looked like unicorn horns on its forehead. Anyway, the wyvern was a bit upset that we had come into its cave, and so started to attack us. I stood in its way to give my friends more time to escape and get help, which they duly did. The rest is a blur to me, my dear. I only remember a bright orange neon glow covering me. Out of the total darkness, I couldn't feel, I couldn't even think. It was almost as if I was dead. When I finally came to, I found myself in my own bed, with my mother looking down at me with solemn eyes. It's finally happened, my child, she said to me. I asked her what happened, but she didn't answer. She told me to get up, pack my things, and come with her. Fast look at his key mark. I saw sealed with two swords stated across it. It was then I discovered my cutie mark. First I felt immense joy for finally attaining it. That joy became confusion, as I had no idea what it was about. Later I packed my things and followed my mother, not realizing that would be the last time I would see my home. We left the Las Pegasus and flew into Hoscar, flying all the way there. Along the way, I was told what did happen? First I inquired. Apparently, after my supposed step, I got back up again, re-healed, and killed that thing with a few blows to the head with a large rock. Notice the look of disapproval on Firesight's face inside. Believe me when I say I wasn't happy about what I did either. But what's done is done. What happened next? We flew into Horska under the cover of darkness, and right to the stronghold I told you to at the break of dawn. It was then I learned of my Dragonlord heritage and what I would become. Fireside nodded and looked down the ground. Did you, or do you, regret it? Going to that cave in the first place, I mean. Finally went on. After a while, he looked back at her and answered, Yes, I did regret it for a long time. But something happened later in my life that made me see it as a blessing. Fireside tilted her head to the side. What was it? Frightwing warmed his eyes and formed a big smile at her. Meeting your mother and having you. Fireside gave a faint smile of her own and looked away, watching a small stream flow down the mountainside towards the plains behind him. She was slightly confused, however. If Firewing saw her as a reason he didn't regret becoming Dragonlord, then why did he leave her at the orphanage in the first place? As the two climbed out of the mist, they noticed the slope even out once more, and were back on the flat. The path before them was woven through a valley, with ridges built like stone walls. At the far end, you can make out the path peering around the bend and out of sight, so they proceeded forward, their eyes glancing around them to look for any signs of the place they were here for. As they walked through the valley, Fireside began to wonder on whether she should regret becoming a Dragon Lord. Her mind raced with thoughts about what would happen if she hadn't intervened. She didn't just let the dragon continue its attack. She pictured herself in front of 4 newly dug graves, and the ashes of another, hundreds more behind them, crying inconsolably. while behind her, Honeyville burned. She shook her head rapidly, ringing herself with these horrible businesses of a time that fortunately never happened. She couldn't regret it. She told herself she shouldn't. In her heart, she knew she did the right thing. Although she would have to bear this new life, she would rather take this than watching the only friends in her life die. She came out of her thoughts and back into reality when she noticed her father stopped a few feet behind her and was gazing upwards at the thought of one of the mountains. First I walked up to him and asked, "What is it?" He said nothing at first, only lifting a hoof and pointing towards the hill. "You see that hill there?" First I looked at where he was pointing and nodded. "Can you see a small crack in it?" Fluttershy turned her head and looked up at the hill and stared at it intensely. It was a moment later when she saw it, her eyes widening in discovery. A small crack, wide enough for a pony to slide through, rested almost inconceivably on the ridge face, just above the hill. Fire swing smile grew wider. "We're making progress, my dear. Come on!" He galloped as fast as he could up the slope of the hill, slipping a few times, which scared the life out of Fluttershy. Fluttershy spread her wings and took to the air, flew up to where Firewing had gone, and moved in front of him. She brought up a hoof. "Take my hoof," she ordered, before adding, "please." Firewing stretched out a hoof and wrapped it around the stars tightly, using the full strength of her wings. She pulled Firewing up to the flat surface halfway to the hill, where the small crack lay. Upon reaching that flat, Firewing and Fluttershy clutched to the ground exhausted. "Wow!" Firewing panted. "That's cheaper than it looked." Fluttershy got back up first. Her legs ached, wings felt numb, after flapping so hard. Her heart was racing. She could feel a smile on her face. "You okay, Dad?" she asked, slight concern as he turned to face her, while breathing faster. Firewing waved a hoof and slowly got back up. "I'm fine, sweetie. Don't worry about me." He felt a huge intake of air, went back down where he was standing previously. "I'm not as young as I once was," he muttered to himself. Fluttershy took her eyes off him, relieved to see he was okay. Looked back at the crack in front of her. From a steady ways point of view, the crack looked like a quick smile, while it seemed to burrow its way deep into the mountain, but in a similar way to the Dragonlord fortress back in Dragon Mountains. "Go through here, then?" Firewing nodded. "Yes. Right around the other side should be the fourth key it's had." He walked over and gazed at the width of it. "We should get through right there all right." He turned to face Fluttershy while a slightly worried expression. "Do you want to go first?" Okay, if you don't mind." Fluttershy walked in front of the gap and gulped. She didn't mind small paces, unlike most paces, but this one was narrower than normal. She felt her heart race just looking in. "I'll be right behind you, my sweet," Firewing said confidently. Fluttershy looked full around and gave her father a small, brave smile. She took a deep breath of air and squeezed into the gap. She was forced to hold her breath, as the small, narrow path seemed to grow narrower. Her ears twisted as she heard Firewing beginning to clamber through the gap behind her, muttering to herself in an attempt to calm his nerves. "Must be afraid of spaces like this," she thought. After what seemed like an eternity, the end was in sight. Fluttershy jumped through, releasing the large breath of air she had been holding in since she started. As she waited for her father, she looked around, found herself to be in front of a large bowl, with the mountain tops acting as spiked fences all around the circumference. When Firewing came through, he looked around, jaw dropped. "Fascinating. Meteor impact crater right here. Must have collided with Terra a few million years ago at least." He looked around towards him with wide eyes. "But look at that." Fluttershy looked at where her father was, and her eyes widened. Nestled in the rock face was a large stone door, a large symbol in front of the spread wings and what seemed to be a dragon head. It was clear above that it was the symbol of the dragon, and that this was the door they were trying to find. Before the door stood around 8 cornered pillars, arrayed so they formed a pathway towards the entrance. Some of the pillars were grotesque, staring down into the ground, with the vehement eyes just snarling. The two walked cautiously forward, Fluttershy staying close to her father for comfort as the grotesques unnerved her with vicious stares, worrying they might just jump off and attack them. But they did nothing, just stared with blank evil eyes and primed claws. "Right. Now that we're here, the question is, how do we open it?" Firewing queried. Fluttershy shook her head and began to walk forward. "Maybe we try open She was cut off when she was pulled back by her tail, sending her into a belly with a "Woof." Are you crazy? Firewing said, his shout echoing across the clear. We don't know what the Dragonlords don't do anything. Fluttershy got up from the ground, busted her off with hooves. But shouldn't this one be just as easy as in the last? Well, I suspect this one does. Another though. Stars really have built this place to keep ponies and other people away from here, as well as others fun places. No, this one would be regular traps and magical barriers. So I advise closing and everything. Alright. Firefly nodded meekly and sat down, paused at the ground with a hoof. So, how do we get in? Firewing sighed and shook his head, rubbing his forehead on his hand. I don't know, Firefly. I really don't know. Look back at the door and walk cautiously forward. Stay back, he ordered. Firefly nodded and watched with wide eyes as her father approached the door. She could feel sweat pour down her face as she watched with bated breath. Firewing felt the sweat run down his face as he slowly approached the door. His heart rate went quicker with every step, and he could hear his daughter's quick breathing behind him. When he was in touching distance of the door, he stopped, drips of sweat blurring his vision. Okay, so far, he mumbled. Time for part two. Fluttershy felt herself lean forwards as her father lifted a hoof up, and a slow, agonizing movement pressed it onto the door. At first there was nothing. It started to spasm as if he was being electrocuted. Firewing screamed and Fluttershy screamed in horror. She raced forward and attempted to save him, but stopped when he started laughing. He stopped shaking, looked at Fluttershy with a big smile, and laughing uncontrollably. You should see the look on your face, he said between bursts of heavy laughter. Fluttershy felt her teeth grit together, and her glare only tightened on Firewing. Her father stopped laughing when he realized his daughter wasn't laughing. Oh, you're a subtle one, aren't you? He chuckled lightly. The stare from Fluttershy got deadlier. Oh, come on, Fluttershy. It was only a joke. I bet by the time you're my age, you'll be doing the same thing. A Dragonlord isn't a pony that walks about in a robe all day, chanting about how they're going to die or kill you. He went on. I've had many good laughs in my time with the Dragonlords. Good friends. His tone became more sullen as he looked away, hung his head. All gone now. Fireshide's angry glare softened into non-existent. She watched him and patted a hoof on his shoulder. I forgive you for that. But please don't do it again. You'll give me a heart attack. I won't, he promised. He looked from her back to the door, glancing around. It's a shame neither of us are a unicorn. He pointed at a small black hole at the side of the door. A unicorn places their horns on that, breaks any spells or deactivates any traps inside. Seems we're going to have to do this the hard way. Fireway turned his head back towards the door, looked around for whatever it was he used to open the doors. What's that in the dragon head? Firefly asked, pointing towards it. Fireway noticed a large slit in it, a slot big enough for a sword to fit through. He reared up and placed his sword leg towards the hole. His sword, Dragbane, sung as it appeared and entered the slit, fitting just enough for it to be twisted about. Fireway felt the sword reach the end and gave it a few twists in both directions until something clicked. The blade retracted back into its scabbard as the door creaked open. Two pigs backed away as dust fell from the tops and doors and parted away from each other, revealing the first chamber of the ancient tomb. Stars were created thousands of years ago. It was barren, with four featureless pillars holding it up. Firefly could barely make out the first door in the darkness, while the smell of death decay filled the two ponies' nostrils. Firefly began to think she had walked into one of Daring Do's adventures. Firewing led the way in, torchlight burning brightly in the pouch he had carried for torches. Can I risk us a little more light? Firefly asked. Firewing only nodded. Firefly opened her saddlebags with a wing, and a gem shot out, floated above her head, stayed for a few seconds before advancing towards the main door. Firewing stopped suddenly and looked down with wide eyes. On the ground before him was a couple of skeletons. One was a Pegasus pony, while the other had the skeletal structure of a wolf. He said his hind legs looked weird, as if they were buying remnants. Firewing hissed, drawing up sword blade, letting the blade stick out.
What are Ramans?
Flashlight asked worriedly. Wolf-like biped people, Firewing replied. They're like diamond dogs, except much more vicious. They peel for pleasure. They take any intelligent creature they like to look up back to their manor.
What happens to them in there?
Flashlight anxiously asked, dreading the answer. They become pets, Firewing replied solemnly. Other than that, you really don't want to know. He shuddered at the memories of some remnants in the past. Himself burst up with their debauchery. In case you're wondering, guys, all I got on remnants are creatures that popped up in Star Trek. He looked back down, saw the skeleton pony had a weird bracelet around his right leg. It was plain black, with the black heads of an axe visible. He fixed his left leg and let it shoot out, forming into the curved, dull metallic shape of an axe. Fluttershy, meanwhile, watched forward, and was expecting a giant hole in the side of the wall. It was a weird crater and disappeared into the blackness. She realized that must have been how the remnants got in.
But the question is,
She wondered aloud, turning to face the door.
how far did it go?
I don't know the thing. Firewing added fearfully. Have they got the key? Fluttershy's eyes widened in alarm as he looked at Firewing, with just as fearful a sense of prospect.
Maybe get moving then.
Fluttershy said. I am, not you. And back outside away from me, he said sternly. Fluttershy's eyes widened even more as he shook her head.
I'm not waiting outside. I'm coming with you. We're in this together and we end it together.
No, Fluttershy. Firewing resented relentlessly. This is too dangerous. If you get injured or worse, then
It would be my fault.
Fluttershy Karen cutting him off.
I'm part of this as you are, and I'm not going to sit around and do nothing. Besides, I only feel safe around you.
I know what you're thinking. And you all stop writing in your death notes right now, people! Firewing opened his mouth to speak, but immediately shut it again. Seeing arguing with her was no good, and once her mind was set on something, it would not budge. He started. Fine, he said reluctantly. But you stay in front of me, alright? The Pegasus nodded. With a nod, the two walked slowly through the first door and into the dark passageway below the mountains, while behind them, the door snapped shut.
So,
Fluttershy began as they walked through the dark passages deeper under the mountains.
I was just wondering, when I said my name back at the Dragon Mountains, you didn't say anything about me being your daughter. I wanted to know why.
Firewing shrugged. I guess I didn't want to jump to conclusions, like I did one time. Fluttershy stopped to look at him in surprise.
You mean, you met another Fluttershy?
Well, obviously I met this woman named Posey. Firewing nodded. She was a photographer, and a very good one if I may add. She had your coat color, except her mane and tail was straight, shorter it was green. When I met her, she introduced herself. He paused to bless the memory in the most embarrassing moment of his life. I kind of made a complete fool of myself. So after I got away and made my apologies, I promised I wouldn't say you're my daughter until I got the right proof. He pointed to the medallion that dangled around Fluttershy's neck, and that was all the proof I needed. Fluttershy looked down at the medallion with a small smile. She looked up and noticed her dim had moved on ahead and stopped, feeling a chamber coming up.
We're approaching a chamber,
She stated. Firewing looked up, and upon seeing Fluttershy was right, gulped down a lump in his throat. Well, here comes the first hurdle. The two fanned out and looked around. The chamber was large, square-shaped, held up by 6 pillars, which were like the others, plain and simple. What got the opponents' attention was that the thing in front of them, large stellar in front of the ground, was an equal number of black and white boxes between them, filed in a formation of 8 boxes wide and 8 boxes deep, like a chessboard. The two ponies went forward and looked at each other oddly, then back to the obstacle in front of them curiously. Any ideas, Firewing asked. Fluttershy shrugged.
my house are supposed to play chess.
She suggested. Firewing rolled his eyes and fired the urge to place a hoof on his face. All right. What exactly are we going to use for chess pieces? Fluttershy looked around and noticed there weren't any pieces among the chamber.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
She said quietly, lowering her head a bit. Firewing looked from his daughter and looked closer at the squares. See if there's anything here that could tell us what to do, he instructed. Firefly, with a quick salute, nodded and started to look around, her gem hovering above her, giving her the light she needed. She firstly looked along the left wall, scanning for words or anything that could give away this particular obstacle.
I found something,
She said after a while, looking at the corner closest to her dad.
a couple of words in Draconic.
What does it say? Firewing asked. Firefly looked back and muttered the words under her breath.
A battle is always seen as good versus evil.
She repeated in Equestrian. This time louder so Firewing can hear. She looked back at her father with puzzled expression on her face.
What does this mean?
Sounds like a riddle, Firewing replied, placing a hoof on his chin. And a very good one, as it has nothing to do with anything in front of us. He kicked the ground in frustration. What has that got to do with chess? Firefly sat down and placed a hoof on her chin, pondering what it meant. She kept looking back at the chessboard, to back at the ground, wondering how those few words always worked in a chess piece.
A battle always near find a view good versus evil.
She always thought.
It's always black and
Something suddenly clicked in place, and her face lit up as she understood.
I got it!
Firefly exclaimed, making Firewing chucked out his coat. Firefly got up and walked in front of the chessboard. Closed her eyes. A gulp she raised a hoof and settled down on a white box in front of her. She peeked over the nine and found nothing happened. She took another step towards the white box. Again, nothing happened. She jumped through the others until she was safely on the other side. Firewing's jaw dropped as he watched his daughter guide her way through. A wide smile insulated. That was absolutely amazing. How did you get that?
The term black and white, Dad,
She explained.
is always associated with good versus evil. That's what the boxes and the words meant. To stay on the white side, the good side.
Firewing shook his head. I never would have gotten that one. Firefly smirked.
Glad that you let me come with you?
Firewing nodded as he jumped to the white boxes, then the other, and another. That was on the other side. He hugged his daughter tightly with a huge smile across his face. I'm glad to finally found you again. He took off his saddlebags and pulled out a small piece of bone from one of the pouches.
Do you have an oven in there?
Firefly asked, wondering how he was able to hold so much stuff in one bag.
I'm starving.
Firewing laughed. It's not that big, you know. This bone should show us what happened with those who wanted to go through by Mr. Writing. He threw the bone in the air and landed on a white box before skidding onto the black one. The moment the bone touched the black box, the room was suddenly filled with dark purple lightning rods and erupted from the ground, the walls, and above. Firefly squeaked in fear and jumped with her behind her dad, also looked scared as he watched a piece of bone get incinerated by lightning rods. Not a single trace of existence was left. Yeah, I'm really glad you're with me, Firewing said with wide eyes. Firefly squeaked with a reply.
So we press on?
Firewing asked.
Kindly.
Firewing squeaked. They cantered out of the chamber and into another dark passageway. Well, that's one challenge taken care of, Firewing said about half an hour later. I imagine it won't be long until the next one. The two had left the passageway behind them and were in a now large cavern. A small stream ran through, which made the rocks above seem to glow a bright golden hue. It was held up by a number of naturally built pillars, and was, to Firefly's eye, the splendor of the cavern around them was immediately dulled, however, when they found the skeletal remains of ponies and remnants. The skeletons of the ponies were wearing broken and now useless light armor, with wings spread out their sides, displaying that they were once Pegasite Dragonlords. One of the remnant soldiers wore thick steel armor, carried a huge claymore that lay at his feet. The remaining remnants wore armor made of animal fur. Well, first I hoped it was anyway. Firewing ignored the remnants and moved towards one of the Pegasus Dragonlords, lowered himself to the ground. His head low as he muttered a prayer of peace and rested him. Afterwards, he leaned over and gently picked up one of the wings. He took something off the wings and presented them to Fluttershy. These are for you. I have no use for them for myself. In his hoof was a long line of sharp blades, with a small slit inside for feathers to fit neatly onto.
Are those wing plates?
Fluttershy asked incredulously. She always thought, as did some historians, that wing plates were a myth made to Pegasites seem even stronger in battle than they actually were. Firewing nodded. The Dragonlords used them for defensive purposes, or taking out enemies by surprise, by diving from above, spreading their wings open, cutting the enemies' throats before they knew what was happening. It gave us a nickname, and one more we fought it, the Angels of Death. Went closer to Fireside, backed away from them fearfully.
Do I really have to use those?
It's just a precaution, my sweet. I'm not going to ask you to use them. I hope we don't have to use them anyway. He gets closer. Spread your wings out, please, and I'll fix them on. Don't worry. They're perfectly safe for you anyway. Aside, Fireside gave him a reluctant nod and spread her wings out. She closed her eyes and steadied herself for a complete, uncomfortable feeling of the blades. Spiraling, gently pressed her primary feathers into the small slit of the blades. She could feel the cold touch of the blades as they slid down over her primaries, till they nestled comfortably on her wing. The first wing taken care of, Firewing got hold of the other set and wing and did the same thing. Once he was done, he backed away and looked at his daughter's self-spread wings, which now looked a bit more metallic, as he was a robot. Fireside, to her surprise, found the blades to be quite comfortable. Once the cold feeling had passed, she opened her eyes and looked how shiny they were against her wings. And honestly, made them look more impressive than usual. She gave the wings a few flaps, and she found herself floating in the air. Again, much to her surprise. The blades were built not to hinder Pegasus's flight, explained Firewing, so they could also fly to the sky if need be. Now, we better keep moving. We've wasted enough time as it is. Fireside nodded in agreement. She landed back onto the ground, tucked her wings back to her sides. At first, to feel the cold blades in her stomach was weird, like putting on a new dress for the first time. But like many other things that happened in the last few days, she would have to get used to them.
Although,
She admitted to herself,
it's going to take a long time to get used to that. You're a genetically augmented warrior monk.
they walked past the skeletons and found themselves back in the dark passageway that connected the chambers together.
You sure there'll be another one?
She asked. Firewing nodded. Pretty sure. It's not like the Dragonlords, but to build one obstacle and leave it like that. The next one will be harder, I bet, so be prepared for anything. Fireside nodded and continued to walk in front, whistling a little tune to keep back the silence. She said after a while of walking.
Is there any other abilities a Dragonlord has that I should know about?
Firewing nodded, with a mischievous grin replied, Well, there's the ability to walk on water. Fireside looked back at him with wide eyes.
Really?
She squeaked. She thought how easy it would be to feed the ducks back home if she could do that. Firewing laughed. No, listen. Dragonlord does, however, have a stronger skeleton, meaning they could easily damage or break a stone in just a few hits, survive wounds that would normally kill a pony. Like that scar on your head. How did you get that anyway? She grimaced as she remembered the night she was captured by Andalusian soldiers.
I was running through the woods on my first day in Horska when I got hit by a hoof here by an Andalusian soldier.
She pointed to the wound on her head.
I was rolled over and hit again in the same place, knocking me out cold.
Firewing's eyes widened. You were captured by Andalusians. First I gave a quick nod. How the places did you escape? Andalusian horses normally execute equestrians on sight. We'll have to give it to you.
I didn't escape.
She responded.
I was just very lucky.
She went on about how close she was to having her head severed from her body when a dragon attacked the city. She told him how it slaughtered the populace. It gave her and a horse throw and time to escape. Fireman placed a hoof to his chin and said in a low whisper, Fascinating. I stopped looking at distastefully.
Fascinating. What's fascinating about innocent horses dying?
Fireman quickly waved a hoof of dismissal and shook his head. Not that. You made it sound as if you couldn't hear until the last minute.
I didn't. But the only time I knew I was there was when the city was on fire.
Fireside said, with a shake of her head. But that's impossible. No dragon in the world could be that quiet, and not even be seen until it's right on top of them. Firewing's eyes grew fearful as he looked back at Fireside. It was there for another reason entirely, he declared.
What reason was that?
Fireside asked. Firewing said nothing. Instead, he just gave her a long, hard stare. Then it took her long to figure out what he was implying.
Me?
She exclaimed,
Why did the dragon want me?
I fear it was so to kill you, he said, now fearing for his daughter. Fireside began to go pale and collapsed into her rump.
Why did it want to kill me?
I don't know, Fluttershy, and hopefully we won't find out why. He turned away from his heavy-breathing daughter and faced away in front of them. I think I can see that gem of yours up ahead. I must have found the next chamber. First I didn't hear. Her mind raced with thoughts about who hated her so bad to actually want her dead. Being a shy, quick since her childhood, she was often bullied, mostly due to the fact she couldn't fly too well. But hated? She wouldn't go that far. She was never really hated, and not fully liked. She felt sick at the thought that someone out there hated her so much she wanted to see her dead. She done no harm to anybody, and now she was the target of assassination for no justifiable reason. But who would hire a dragon to kill her? She ruled out guilt quickly. It was a one-time meet, and she didn't want to go through that again. The Griffin wasn't cut out for mass murder. Iron Will was again crossed out as well. Sure, she didn't pay for a seminar, but he agreed in the end and walked away without bitterness. So who? A name soon entered her mind that seemed impossible to the Pegasus. Yet the name was the only one who hated her, and her father with a passion. It was a name, the heartbeat going faster in fear. Hindar. But that was impossible, wasn't it? He was locked away somewhere in a hidden tomb with no contact to the outside world, other than mind jumping. Couldn't get out. But could he? She knew he was great Violet Celestia combined. So what if he had even greater magic than the two of them knew about? What if he was able to control the minds of the living? Fluttershy! Firewing called worryingly to the other side of the passage. She shook her head, blanked at her thoughts. She was worried about Heimdall mind controlling her, and forcing her to jump off a cliff and plummet to her death lair. As long as she was beside her father, she felt safe.
Coming, Dad.
She got up and trotted around the corner where Firewing was standing, looking at the vast chamber in front of them. It was bigger than the last one, much bigger, covered in a huge maze stretching to the other side. Fluttershy staring in awe as she walked down the steps towards the entrance. Firewing was already up, eyeing it curiously. The main entrance, as well as the whole maze, was covered in bushes and thorns that glowed a dark orange. Fluttershy walked alongside Firewing and tilted her head.
We have to go through, don't we?
I don't see any other way around this, my sweet. I wouldn't want to try flying over if I were you. The Dragonlords have placed traps to take out flying creatures that attempt it. He took a step forward. Just stay by me, and we'll be fine. Fluttershy nodded and swallowed the lump in her throat. She walked behind Firewing, her eyes staring all around the likelihood of a trap being strung. Firewing walked under the gate, with Fluttershy just another step behind. Suddenly, she felt a course of electrical energy surge through her as the thorn of magical energy lashed at her. With a scream, she was hurled back from the gate, crashed on the other side. Firewing turned around, eyes wide and hard, the sight of his daughter being electrocuted. Fluttershy! He pressed forward to help her, stop when the gate closed. The entrance covered in thorns. Fluttershy, talk to me. Are you all right? Fluttershy ground up on her four hooves.
I'm fine,
She replied.
I think.
She looked over herself and saw she was okay. Her wings weren't severed, and she felt her mane was in one piece. She breathed a sigh of relief and got up, and turned around to catch up with her father. Her eyes stopped when she saw where the entrance was. It was now a large wall of thorns.
Dad?
She called out.
The entrance is blocked. I can't get through.
I know that, sweetheart. Just don't panic, finally said. Fluttershy, however, was panicking. Her father was in a maze, and she was stuck out here, alone. It was the offense of discord all over again. This is a test to see if we can work on our own, rather than a cheat. I have an idea. I think that once I make it to the other end, the entrance will open up. It'll be your turn to go through. You're listening, aren't you? Because this is important.
Yes, I'm here.
Fluttershy nodded. Good. Now do you know the tale of Hansel and Gretel? Fluttershy furrowed her brow in puzzlement.
Yes, I know it. It's one of my favorite stories at the orphanage. What of it?
In the story, Hansel uses pebbles to make a trail in the first abandonment, which leads him back home. The second attempt to use breadcrumbs, but it doesn't so well. Finally explained, luckily, there are no birds about. I have a list of the breadcrumbs and leave a trail to the exit. All you have to do is follow the trail, alright?
I understand, but what if you get lost and you have to work your way back?
Then I picked them again, and used them for later when I get back on track. First I heard him turning around and facing the long tunnel of the maze. I'll try not to be too long. See you on the other side.
Okay, just be careful.
First I said, she heard his footsteps move away, until only her breathing could be heard.
Okay, Fireside, don't you worry. You've been alone before, and though you've been alone for a little while, nothing to worry about.
Yes, she still worried. She always worried. She walked away from the entrance, lay down on the hard rocky ground, waited for the thorns to part so she could be reunited with her father once more. She waited, her mind began to wondering what was happening with her animal friends back at the college, so many miles away. She sighed sadly, thinking about Angel, who was probably looking out the window, waiting to see her galloping along the road towards the cottage, where he would welcome her home with open paws. It was sometimes an annoying little thing, but sometimes she wished it would go away. But she also knew he wanted to see her happy. Mostly thought about her rather than himself. Her mind trailed from Angel to the other animals in her peace-loving home. She wondered if any of the eggs from the birds had hatched.
Probably have by now.
She thought with a little smile, thinking of how cute the little ones would be, her loving mother and father looking down at them. She looked back at the entrance and thought about her father. All those questions she wanted to ask him about her mother and himself. Why was he abandoned? Why couldn't she be with him? At that thought, her mind quickly drifted to what she thought would be like when she was brought up with her father. What would she be like if all she knew was the Dragonlords? She pictured herself standing on the edge of a cliff, with a keep filling behind her, her wings spread out and swords stuck ready to kill. Beside her was her father. Behind him was the Dragonlord Order, all of them ready to go to battle to protect those that cannot protect themselves. She imagined herself with a confident grin on her face, a pony that wasn't picked on because she couldn't find well, a pony that was pushed around all her life. She would have been a pony that was strong, confident, courageous, and yet cold. She came out of her thoughts and wonderings when she heard something coming up from the passageway. They came through, looked up and back towards the maze entrance, eyes widening as the footsteps came louder and louder, till the culprit was saying. She stood on two legs, on a post similar to that of a diamond dog, and the face and body of wolves. Long, ragged, gray or black fur covered their exposed coats. Soulless yellow eyes bared down on Claire's eye, along with snarling teeth. While one of these new arrivals was covered in old, rustic metal armor, the two was covered in various fur types: deer, bear, horse, and pony. Hey, wait a minute! These are two characters from Demon Slayer! First I looked down and saw one in the metal armor had a huge sword in his paws, while the other two had swords of the various types. They looked old and probably blunt. When he sized mine, it's probably how the remnants liked them. The one in metal armor jumped up the steps and landed on the ground in front of her, sneering at her and clicking her all over. First I backed even further away until she felt her rump touch the foreign bush.
You get close to the entrance, Dad.
She thought,
Better hurry up and get this thing open.
the remnant stood at his full height and raised his sword with one paw at her.
Well, I guess a surprise.
The remnant spoke in a rough tone, as if it weren't used to talking to her.
A little Pegasus mare gets lost and finds her way here.
He lowered his sword and took a step towards her. First I felt her breathing grow faster as the remnant approached. She noticed a lustful look in his eyes and realized with horror what firing meant by people they liked to get back to the lair.
Don't worry, little one. We'll take good care of you,
it said. Two remnants flanking him approached cautiously forward. One was brandishing a rope to tie her up with. First I glanced at the two and began praying the entrance would soon reveal itself.
I'm not lost. I'm here with my dad. So would you kindly go away now and leave me alone?
Remnant still armed made a wicked grin.
Oh, we're not going anywhere, Pegasus. We're not going to hurt you. Promise.
The one in steel armor lied. Fireside raised her wings and showed her wing blades, and the Hulk would back away and leave her alone. She raised her sword blade as well, the blade singing out of the scabbard.
Please, just leave me alone.
Remnants laughed and began to move at a slightly quicker pace.
Yes, I'm firing you, don't ya? But don't worry, we'll break it soon enough,
One said. Firefly saw that they were now just a few feet away, with even more appearing to pass its entrance. She sighed. She couldn't fight him. She wasn't a fighter or a killer. She was a peace-loving Pegasus who loved animals. She couldn't bring herself to do it. Lure, sort of like, she tucked her wings in and prepared herself for whatever horrors may face her in that lair. She found her help and waited for the rope to go around her neck.
I'm sorry, Dad,
She whispered. The end of the rope was now next to her, lowered the rope to go past her head and around her neck. Randall with steel armor smiled and disappeared. It would have preferred if she had fought them. Just before the rope was about to go around her neck, the gate behind Fluttershy opened, and the way to the maze was clear. Wasting no time, great speed, Fluttershy spun around, bucked around the woman with the rope in the face. Sitting on the ground with "Oof!"
Sorry!
She stabbed behind her as she jumped to the safety of the maze. She turned around and watched as Renda in steel armor advanced towards her with a look of rage. Renda was halted with magical energy from the maze's entrance, electrocuting him. It was green. He was flung back from the entrance like she had been. The other remnant tried to show, but was soon on the ground next to the one's armor. Fluttershy breathed a heavy sigh of relief as the gate closed up once more. She turned back around and looked at the ground. The floor had a line of breadcrumbs going right along the path, disappearing to the right, out of sight. Fluttershy hurriedly walked through. Watching the way the breadcrumbs went from left to right in an instant. She could hear the sounds of residents raging behind her, shouting insults and threats behind her, but wiped them out by flattening her ears across her head. She realized about halfway through the breadcrumbs would not only help her, but also hinder her. Remnants were just behind her, and once she got out, the gate will open and the remnants would come through, one at a time. She moved some of the breadcrumbs down different paths, hoping it would make the remnants' job of getting out a lot harder. She nodded satisfaction with what she did, and galloped down towards the right path. About 20 minutes later, she saw her father waiting at the end. She galloped forward, bracing with a tight hug. "Thank goodness you're safe," Fireway said in relief. First I pulled away.
That's time for celebration, she said rapidly. Residents on the other side of the maze, and they're coming after us shortly.
Fireway's eyes opened. "Records? Here? Bust it! Come on. I'll find that key before they find us." First I let go of Fireway, and the two hastily galloped down the next tunnel away from the maze, with the remnants at their tails.